Hey, welcome to the show. It's called Law 2020. That's right. Law 2020 brought to you by your friends, and I want to underline that, friends in the offices of the BCN law firm. That's Boyette, Cummins, and Nalos. That's right. You can always reach them at 855-LAW-2020, 855-LAW, that's 529-2020, or go to bcnlawfirm.com, bcnlawfirm.com. Interesting conversation before we rolled out the mics and you all joined us. And speaking of joining us, 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232, 21232. Want to talk about, in opening the show, about the difference between a BCN law firm that is local, involved, out in the community, run into them at Publix, pick up your cell phone and call your attorney direct to his cell phone anytime you want, versus, I guess Clark Howard would call them the monster mega law firms that have great, great spokesmen, you know, kind of like for car dealers, it was our buddy David Moss, who was a great spokesman for the automobile industry. But you got great spokesmen and great people on the TV, but could you pick up the cell phone and call one of them and just say, I got in trouble, there's blue lights behind me, I'm off I-4, and yeah, I did have a couple of cocktails leaving work today, and Wade, can you help me out and guide me through this because I'm scared to death? I can call you at any time. I had an agreement 6 or 8 weeks ago that somebody was giving me, remember? And all I did was I faxed it down to you or shot it, and I forget how we got it to you. But you went over it, you called me back, Rob signed the agreement. That's all it took. I can't do that with the guys I'm seeing on Monster Mega Television. And I want a local firm.
It's amazing. And the culture that we've developed at our office, one, we don't want to be too large. We want to be large enough that we can provide our clients the service that they need and give them a full-service law firm. But we also want to be personable enough. You know, our slogan when we created the firm was know your attorney, know your options. And know your attorney was a big part of what we believed in. You know, we want to get to know our clients. We want our clients to feel like we're not just their attorney for one transaction, but we're their attorney for life. Mm-hmm. And I always get a kick. We were talking before the show. You know, I wake up every morning and usually Channel 13's on. Great newscast. And you see a lot of attorneys advertising. And some of the big, I won't call any out by name because I know most of them, but they're always, you know, please pick up the phone and call me. I'd be personally honored to represent you. I want to challenge the audience to pick up the phone and call those attorneys that say that. If you can get through to them, please go use them. I mean, but if you don't, and if you pick up the phone and you take that challenge and you give them a call and they will not take your call, please give me a call. I'm available by cell phone. We have attorneys that will personally help you. And it's a difference, you know, from going to a partner of a law firm than going to a case manager. And that's who you're usually going to get with these big law firms. So, you know, take that challenge, please. Any of these attorneys on TV say personally, call me. I'll be glad to represent you. Try it out. I give them a first chance. But if you can't get through to them, please give me the second chance. I will answer your phone call.
Well, you know, and there's something else, and I'm just a host of a show, but I think I reflect a lot of people in Central Florida when I say this. If it's a realtor, if it's a banker, if it's a lawyer, if it's a doctor, like Dr. Klein, I want to know that doctor so well, and I want to be able to spend time with him. And I'd rather have a small firm that I know that I'm a big fish in the small firm instead of being one where there's 600 associates under one roof and you're a number.
Right.
You know, you're just one other, because you might as well be in a class action suit.
Well, you know, and Rob, you know, a philosophy that I've always had since I started practicing over 20 years ago is, you know, I want my clients to feel free to call me before they have a problem. So if they have an issue, pick up the call. Most law firms, when you give them a call, they're going to, one, want to charge you, you know, a retainer, or they're going to want to charge you a consultation fee. I don't believe in that. If I can take care of your problem, like looking at your contract in 5 or 10 minutes and everything looks good, there's no reason for me to bill you. there you'll have plenty of legal needs that I'll be able to, get more in depth with and build. And if I can build that relationship where you feel free to pick up the phone and call me, then we're going to keep you out of trouble most of the time, but when you really do need the attorney, then we're there for that also. I've also
referred to this before. All of us grew up in an area, and we knew, like I grew up in Camdenton, Missouri, for crying out loud, and you knew the judges, and you knew kind of how they weighed on different things within the span of the law. But you can be within the span of a law and be a judge, and you can look at things different ways, and you can have a $600 fine or you can have a $100 fine. It's knowing the attorneys who know that.
Right.
Which judge looks kindly onto this? Which judge looks very, very blunt on this? And so when you're dealing with a local firm, because when you're looking at Boyette, Cummins, and Nalos, you've got the expertise of Wade Boyette, you got the youth, you got the enthusiasm and the expertise of Nalos, Heath Nalos, but you've got the grandfather. You've got Cummins, who helped build Central Florida. If he doesn't know where all the skeletons are buried, I'll be darned.
Right.
And so there's a law firm that's been involved in this community for 30 years, 40 years?
Oh, yeah. Norm's been practicing, I think, 45, 46 years. So he's been around a long time, and we're blessed to still have him there at the office working every day, coming in, still introducing us and helping us find our way around the community. And both Heath and I have been practicing over 20 years. So we've been here watching a lot of the growth in Central Florida, especially in some of the surrounding areas. So it's nice. And, we really love getting involved in our community and taking part in our clients' lives. Good example, and, I'll throw this out to the audience. We're doing a Kentucky Derby party for hospice May 2nd. $75 a ticket, a great show. We're having a Kentucky Derby party, doing that actually at my house. So we would love anyone that wants to come out and support hospice. It's a great event.
Oh, it's a fantastic, and look at the service they provide. But I mean, whether it's Pig in the Pond or whether it's Heath going out and dancing with the stars last year, it's being involved in the community. And let's say you live over by Claremont and you go to the Publix. There's Wade. In person. I don't think you're going to see the big monster mega attorneys out doing their own shopping.
Right.
Or even driving their own car.
Or they're going to pull their hat down and duck and take off.
Just have the food delivered to the house, please. Don't need to be going out in public. Anyway, if you have a legal question, we would love to have you call us right now, because you can speak directly to Wade Boyette at 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. The texting is 21232, 21232. If you don't know how to do that, Wade's son is here. He'll tell you all about how to text. Now, what you do is you get out your smartphone, go to the texting feature, and a lot of people still call the radio station, and they'll go, "What do you mean 21232? I need to know who to put in the recipient. Who am I doing this to?" That is who you're doing it to. There is no contact. There's no address. There's no phone number. The code is 21232. Then you're going to have a window pop up on your phone that says, "Are you sure you want to text this number, because charges may incur from your carrier?" Well, that just means if you have all free texting like I do, and you have all inclusive, you're not going to be charged a fee. It's just a courtesy we give you. So it's not going to charge you any more than texting the guy down the street. But you are going to get a good answer. So 21232, then below that, give us the nitty-gritty of your legal question, okay? And we'll get that done. But, Wade, you were talking before the show about one of your clients was up in another state. Pick up the phone, called you on the cell phone because he had a problem.
It was amazing. This is one of my friends, actually, a client that lives down in Fort Lauderdale. And my son and I, we were at a restaurant Friday night. I get a call right before sitting down, and he just happened to have one too many drinks and got pulled over in Iowa. And it was, Wade, I had to make a phone call. I called you, and, we walked him through it. And luckily, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And luckily today he's out. No charges were pressed. He's doing pretty well. But that's the difference is, this isn't one of my best friends that has my cell phone number. This is a client down in Fort Lauderdale who has my cell phone number, who felt comfortable enough to pick up the phone call, and we walked him through it.
All right, now we've got 4 open lines. This is kind of like going to the grocery store and seeing that express lane, and there's nobody in it. Well, right now, I've got 4 express lanes, and there's nobody in them. And you can call 855-297-9696. You do not have to use your real name. If you're in a legal problem, you probably don't want to use your real name. 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232, 21232. We will be back. This is Law 2020, brought to you by the BCN Law Firm. Here's 3 big things you need to know. There you go. We've got callers lined up. We want to thank you, callers, so much for powering this show. What you're listening to now is the BCN Law Firm's own Law 2020. Get it? 2020, bringing law into perspective. Know your attorney. Know your options. That is the BCN Law Firm. All right, 855-529-2020. Offices right in Claremont, Winter Park, Lakeland, and a brand new office just down the street from my house in the Villages, and you don't have to go through a gate to get there. It's in the Santa Fe Office Plaza on Highway 466, just outside of Lady Lake, for all those who listen to us up in that area. Let's go to George. George, what is your question?
My question is, I live in a condominium, and it's a safety issue. The buildings need rewiring, and the board of directors is dragging their feet on it. Now, some of us want to rewire our own units on our own dime. If we do that and I rewire my own unit, and then let's say a year or 2 down the road, the board of directors has a special assessment to rewire the rest of the buildings, do I have to participate in that?
Yeah, George, we need to look at your condo documents. Have you taken a look at your condo docs to see what the board is allowed to assess with these special assessments?
No, I haven't. But we've had a few small special assessments in the past.
Yeah, usually, I mean, if you go and fix it on your own, and I've had clients do that in their condos, if there is a special assessment and they come in and uniformly repair every unit and they could still repair your unit, you would have to pay that special assessment.
Before they did it, I still have to pay the special assessment.
Correct. Have you tried to go to the board and ask for any kind of waiver? I mean, especially if it's a safety issue.
Yeah, I have, and they said they're going to get back with me, but they haven't yet.
I would get enough of the unit owners to put a petition together, because usually when they're, numbers, things can get done. But especially if it's a safety issue, I would put the board on notice, because I would shift that liability to the board, where if something does happen, you've put them on notice and now they have liability.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Jordan. You have a great day.
You too. Bye now.
Hey, George, you were using 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. You can always text us at 21232, 21232. Casey, what's up?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Great.
Doing wonderful.
Question is, I have an LLC that myself and partners have decided to let it just evaporate, basically go bankrupt. But prior to that decision, actually our contractor had served us to sue us for some damages because we didn't pay him the full fee that we agreed upon, but it's because he didn't do the work. But I didn't appear in court because we decided just to let the company, dissolve on its own. I received the judgment in the mail yesterday, an order from the court granting there, because I didn't show up by default. But along with the order from the judge, it said I was required to provide a fact and information sheet according to Rule 1.977. And when I read the rule, it says it has a Part A and a Part B, and one's for an individual, as I'm sure you know, and the other one is for an entity, i.e. the LLC that I have. I don't know if the clerk inadvertently gave me the wrong A or B, and my question, I guess, specifically is, I don't want to be held in contempt, but since there is no company, am I bound to respond to that?
Well, so what you're saying is you let the company administratively dissolve. You didn't pay your annual fee.
No, didn't pay our annual fee, closed everything out, just let the company die.
And when was your last annual fee that you paid?
Well, we're a new company. We actually died the first this year, within a year of being open. I had some problems with partners and investors and so forth, so it just we let it go.
So you formed it in 2014?
Yes, sir.
Okay, your annual dues are due in May. So you probably haven't been administratively dissolved yet. You will be.
Right.
But you haven't been administratively dissolved, but you've shut down the business. There are no assets.
There are no assets. Everything's gone. And, but I gave my forwarding address to tie up any loose ends just because I didn't want anything, not knowing the law, I didn't want anything legal to fall back on me, even though I was an LLC.
Right.
So now I'm concerned based on this order that I'm required to fill out this information on an individual basis.
Well, and don't worry about the fact that you may have to fill it out individually. That doesn't make you individually liable. A fact and information sheet is only that. It's providing fact and information for that judgment creditor, but that doesn't give them the right to come after you individually. If that order is not against you individually and is only against the LLC, then they do not have a right to come after your personal assets.
Well, I guess the second part of my question is that why I don't want to take the time or put my business out there. If I'm not personally, why wouldn't my partners have to do it? Basically, I just want, if there is no more company, the company can't respond.
That's correct. I would fill out the second part, send it in, and if, there's an issue with that, they're going to let you know.
Okay.
But, I can tell you if they do not have a judgment against you individually. Now, were you the registered agent?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's why you're receiving everything and your partners are not.
Right, yeah, I understood that. Yes, sir.
So, well, if you have any questions or if you want me to take a look at it or even help you fill out the fact and information sheet, we do those all the time. Even if you want me to take a look at your personal assets and make sure you're protected, just give me a call at the office.
I'll do so. Yeah, my family lives in the Villages, so I'll be going up there next week, actually, so I will give you a call.
Come and see us. We have a nice new office up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, they're in the Santa Fe office building right on Highway 466, about 3 miles out of Lady Lake. So 441 to 466, you take a left if you're traveling north, and you're right there at the office on your right. And you're looking at offices also in Winter Park, Claremont, and Lakeland, and a satellite office to help you all down by Sebring. Now, if you want to call into the show, it's 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696. You can text us at 21232. That is 21232. And, of course, you power the show, so you make the phone calls. We're coming up on news, traffic, and weather. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, the all-news morning show with Joe Kelly and traffic updates every 6 minutes, all getting you to work on time. We'll be back. We're back on. That's right. Wade Boyette is here, and his heir apparent, young son, good-looking lad over there, I'm telling you right now. This is called Law 2020. That is Law 2020, and you can always reach the law firm at 855-529-2020, 855-529-2020. Know your attorney, know your options. Winter Park, Claremont, Lakeland, the Villages, and a satellite office in Sebring, and enough attorneys to really help anybody. If it's criminal, if it's personal injury, if you're setting up a company, if you want a prenup, you want a postnup, if you want estate planning issues, which we were going to talk about today. We haven't gotten to that yet. Hey, Charles, what's going on with you, sir?
Yes, good afternoon. How are you doing?
We're fine.
Doing wonderful, Charles.
Yes, back in 2010, 11, when I was doing my undergrad, I used to live in Tampa, but now I live in Daytona Beach. I was receiving my refund, my school refund, and the school, they forced me to accept the Higher One Bank, which the bank that they said that they were supposed to, give in my refund. So when I asked the boss, why can't I choose my own bank? Why can't I redirect my refund back to my own bank? They said that's the school that's the bank that the school choose. So that they don't know why the school did that.
Now Charles, this was your IRS refund?
Huh?
This was your tax refund?
I didn't hear you.
This was your tax refund?
No. School loan, school refund when I was doing my undergrad.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, now I'm doing my doctorate degree in a different school. So
okay.
So last year I received a letter from there's some class action lawsuit going on. So I opted out because I didn't want to be part of it. So because they asked me if I want to opt out to sue the bank later on, that I can do that. So I opted out. So my question is, if I want to sue them now, can I do that? And if I want to do that now, who can help me? Because I felt that both the school and the bank violated my rights, and I feel that they were charging outrageous fees.
Yeah, we would be glad to look at that for you, Charles. Let me ask you a question. Is the bank that received the refund, are they still in business?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, Charles?
I can barely hear you.
Okay. Is the bank still in existence? Is it still around? Okay, good.
Yes, the bank is still. I still have an account with them.
Okay.
I've not deposited money in the account in almost about two years or three. But it's still a current account.
Okay, and if you feel comfortable, what dollar amount are we talking about?
Huh?
What dollar amount are we talking about?
I mean the fees that we're charging?
The fees and the refund amount.
They were charging different fees. They were charging late fees. As a matter of fact, according to the excerpt, the letter that I received from the class action lawsuit, okay, that they were not even operating as a full bank at the time, but they were charging fees as if they were a bank. Yeah. So I think that's why a lot of students now are suing them. Yeah.
Well,
that I opted out. Uh-huh.
Bring it in. Let's sit down and let's go over it. One thing I would want you to do is, if you feel like you've been wronged, also report it to the bank regulators. The banks are heavily regulated, and they hate the regulators looking into what they're doing, especially if they're doing anything that's not right, in the first place. So, I would definitely pick up the phone or write a letter to the state regulators who regulate the banking industry, and you'll get results fairly quickly.
Clark Howard always talks about that. He says the last thing anybody wants is a letter to the regulatory agency.
That's correct.
It just opens a lot of cans of worms. All right, Charles, you might want to follow up by calling the office, making an appointment, and just dial 855. If you're writing this down, Charles, 855-529-2020. That translates to 855-LAW-2020. All right, let's give you the phone numbers one more time. That's you can call here at the show at 555-297-9696, 855-297-9696. We wanted to deal with some estate issues today because there's so many people that really still don't understand all of the things they need to do as they get ready for retirement, or if you've got a family, you've got to be able to cover this stuff.
Well, Rob, we spend a lot of time, you and I, on the different shows that we do together, talking about wills and trust, and people hear about it all the time. But estate planning is more than just preparing a will or having a trust done. It's dealing with any title to an asset that you have. It's dealing with how assets are titled. It's dealing with beneficiary designations. Anything that you own, we should take a look at and address. And I'm going to give you an example. Mm-hmm. Clients come in all the time, and especially young families who took out life insurance, or their employer provides them life insurance, or they provide them a 401k. And when they sit down with me, I tell them, I said, when we sit down, I'm doing a financial checkup like a doctor would do a medical checkup. And we're going to look at things not because there is a problem, to determine if there could be a problem.
Amen.
And one of the first things I ask them is, who's the beneficiary of your 401k? And if they're married, they generally say, I think my spouse is, or my spouse is. Who's the contingent beneficiary? I think my kids are. I'm like, do you know that for sure? Well, I think so. Well, think so isn't going to do it. We need to go, and I tell them it's a very simple thing. We need to pull the beneficiary designation form and take a look, because that one simple mistake can put you from going through probate to not put you going through probate, or it could be a substantial tax savings by having the correct contingent beneficiaries, because there's some advantages from an IRS standpoint if you have the correct beneficiaries. A lot of people will not designate the kids. They just don't think of it at that time, or their kids are minors. So now the beneficiary is by default going to be the estate, and we have some adverse income tax consequences and some adverse probate consequences.
Well, and it gets brought up a lot. A lot of people say that that they'll go into the attorney's office or the financial planning office with their current wife, and the financial planner or Wade Boyette will say, well, Tim, can you tell us who the beneficiary is on your 401k? Well, yeah, it's Sharon sitting here. Well, let me just look at that. Oh, well, no, it's Priscilla, who you used to be married to back when you got your job. Uh-oh. And that happens all the time.
I see that happening all the time. And, it's not bad if we do, if we find that out, and catch it soon enough, where it becomes a real issue. And this is where people end up having to hire us, and where, unfortunately, legal fees are spent. And that's when those things don't get caught and someone passes away. And I have clients, Rob, they come in and, they have the beneficiary designations. What they want to tell me the order they're going to pass away in. When in estate planning, it's always, I'm going to die first and my wife's going to die second. And I'm like, well, that sounds good until you get hit by that truck next week. I wish we could all predict. If we could predict the order of our passing, then it would cut down on a lot of people coming in to see me.
Planning would be great, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And so I tell them, we've got to plan on all the contingencies. And my job is to help you think through those contingencies. That's why going online and doing planning, or going and buying a form from an Office Depot, or, doing some of the generic things that are available out there really don't help you as much as they should, because they can't think for you. And you need someone who's got the experience that can help you think through all the contingencies that could happen, because they do.
Mm-hmm. And those contingencies have crossed your desk many times in 20 years. And the normal layperson, they may be the very best home builder there is. That doesn't mean they've ever thought about any of this stuff.
Absolutely. And, it's the little things. And, I tell them it's the little Band-Aids. Everything doesn't have to be surgery. It's the little Band-Aids that we can put on that can heal a lot of the problems that are out there.
Yeah, because, see, the problem is that you've seen it on the post-death part, where the family's fighting, the court's fighting. And the one thing that we talk about that most people don't realize, and I didn't realize it till you taught me, I thought that the person passed away, and then there was the funeral or the memorial service, and that the next day you showed up in probate court and everybody divided everything up around a table, because that's the way it happens on TV.
Right.
But then you're right.
Oh, yeah, on TV, you have this big ceremony, and they all get together, and you have one person sitting in this big cushy chair, and they're reading the will, and there's usually one kid left out. All the other kids are happy, but it doesn't usually happen that way.
It takes months, right? 4, 5, 6 months?
It can. An average probate is, 4 to 6 months. And that is because there's certain things that just have to happen in every estate. We have to file notice to creditors, wait 90 days. I mean, there's things, it's not the attorney slowing it down, it's the process slowing it down.
And, I always ask you the question, we bring it up here and other places where we're on the air, and we talk about the fact, and when we're in your office, we talk about, well, who feeds the dog during that 6 months? Who opens the house? Who makes sure the house is the bills are being paid? Who pays Duke Energy? Who pays the association fees? So they could very likely, the HOA could foreclose on that house while you're waiting for probate.
And I've seen crazy things like that happen where, there have been lawsuits initiated, or the electric bill, goes back. There have been hundreds of houses where I've had to go in and clean the refrigerator because, electricity gets turned off. And do you know how bad it is for a house to have a refrigerator with all the food that goes bad? It's not a pleasant sight.
No, that's a good thing to send to the dump. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back with a text and your phone calls, and we have all new express lanes open wide right now at 855-297-9696. The home of the experts all weekend long is News 96.5. We got the best bump music in the world. We are 6 minutes away from news, traffic, and weather, and you'll get that every hour. And, of course, we catch up with the 3 big things you need to know about every 10 minutes right here. And we're talking to Wade Boyette, representing the BCN Law Firm. He is the B in the BCN Law Firm, Boyette, Cummins, and Nalos, and they can be found at bcnlawfirm.com, bcnlawfirm.com, 855-LAW-2020, 855-529-2020. Offices, Claremont, Lakeland, the Villages, Winter Park, and a satellite going strong down in Sebring. Okay, have a text here. Wade, would you be able to represent a mobile home RV park homeowners association? We have trouble with the owner making illegal charges and doing unpermitted work in the park.
And we would be. We represent a lot of homeowner associations. We have several parks that we represent. So I'd be glad to, speak to whoever is in charge of the association. If I need to meet with the board to get their approval, we'll be glad to come and get interviewed by the board. But we do a lot of RV park and HOA work, so we'd be glad to.
And do you do that for both sides of the equation? What if you are in a condo or a large development and the HOA is going after homeowner A? Do you represent homeowner A?
We can, as long as we don't represent the homeowner association.
There you go.
So, yes, if we do not represent the homeowner association and you're a homeowner and you're having issues, because we know both sides of the equation, we can usually help you out there. We've seen most of the HOA documents, and a lot of them are fairly generic. You see them over and over. So we'll be glad to help you. And we know your rights as a homeowner as well as knowing the rights that the homeowner association has.
Do you ever get into land line disputes in Florida? I mean, this is kind of prevalent since everything used to be orange groves. I was affected once myself that there were actually 3 different plats in the Lake County Courthouse of the area in which I lived. And when they finally took down all the orange trees and decided to build homes there were dispute after dispute after dispute of where your yard actually was.
Oh, and we still deal with that, especially in Lake County, because when they did create all the maps and you start drawing these lines, none of the lines are perfect. They don't line up. And so we would deal with homeowners and have to go to court and deal with quiet title suits quite often. Last week, you're always asking, what comes in a lot. Last week, there were a lot of easement issues. I have clients coming in, and it was fun. A lot of the clients, we do some work in some of the rural areas out in Lake County, Sumter County. And you get some of the families that have used a road for 40 or 50 years. I mean, they've used this easement, and, all of a sudden a new neighbor's trying to put a fence up or planted a tree. And those things just don't go well because that property's been in those families for years and years. So, we've had a lot of fun cases last week with easement issues. You've got families out there in some of these counties that are still like the Hatfield and McCoys, and they're still fighting.
And, when you had large grove owners, like I was next to what was once the Whitaker Groves. Right. And so a lot of the grove owners changed over time, and they would use a road that was the end of the big grove. Well, that was supposedly the property line.
Right.
But then when they sold the grove or chopped it up, as you know, Wade, some of the groves had different width aisles. So all of a sudden I had a home. And all of a sudden, I see a bulldozer in my side yard. We had to go to court over it, and they finally had to just redo the entire plat because all of them were wrong.
They were wrong. Back then, a lot of the neighbors just knew in their mind they had it. As long as they agreed as neighbors, everything was fine. It was just the second generation and the third generation started selling the property off, and that's when we had to go in and correct the title issues that are out there.
Well, it was kind of like I grew up in the Ozark. You grew up around Lakeland and all that. It was the old time. Yeah, I owned that tree. When they first settled it. Take a ride at the barn. Get to my house. Anyway, if you have legal questions, we still have a minute or two. You can call us. Well, we only have 2 minutes. 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232. Okay, in a matter of closing, kind of go over the areas of law that you all specialize in again.
Well, we're a full-service law firm. My specialty is transactional law, so I handle a lot of real estate needs, estate planning needs, corporate needs. I set up, a lot of business entities from, start helping clients decide which entity is correct for them, through managing their business as it grows to a successful business. Then I also help, clients transition out of their business, whether it's buying, selling their business. So anything transactional I handle. We also have a litigation department. Heath Nalos, my partner, has a personal injury background and a first-party litigation background. So he's the head of the litigation department. We have a family law department that Brian Muck runs, very successful at doing that. We have a sinkhole department. We're still heavily involved in sinkhole litigation. We have someone who does immigration. We're really a full-service law firm offering clients full service. The only thing we do not do right now is patent work. We have no one who's in the patent area. You have to sit for a separate bar, but we have great attorneys that we refer it out to. So other than that, we can help you.
All right, know your attorney, know your options. Law 2020, it's the BCN law firm. You can always reach them at 855-529-2020. That is 855-LAW-2020. They have another backup number if you need it. That's 352-394-2103. That's 352-394-2103. BCNlawfirm.com. BCNlawfirm.com. We roll on right now as we ask the experts all weekend long right here on the home of the experts, News 96.5.